South Africa 2, India 0. Two games have been played in Durban and two comprehensive wins for the Proteas. There are a lot of questions for Harmanpreet Kaur's side to answer heading to Johannesburg for the rest of the 5-match series. Let's get right into it. The first T20I on April 17th in Durban saw South Africa win the toss and opt to bowl first. Smart choice, and as we'll see, they exploited it perfectly. Shafali Verma's aggressive start helped India get off to a flyer, before Ayabonga Khaka and Tumi Sekhakhune accounted for both openers in the final 2 overs of the power play. At 48 for 2, India needed to stitch a good partnership, and they got just that from Jemimah Rodrigues and Harmanpreet Kaur as they put together a 71-run stand for the 3rd wicket. A key facet of the partnership had been their running between the wickets, as they used the boundary dimensions to their advantage and milked singles and doubles at regular intervals. Jimmy got out in the 15th over, trying to further up the ante by chipping it in the long-off region, and it seemed like a great entry point for Richa Ghosh to capitalize on, except we saw none of that. Barring a 6 from Kashri Gautam and a couple of boundaries from Harman, the last 4 overs went for only 30 runs, and India ended up with just 154, which I personally felt was at least 20 below par, if not more. Ayabonga Khaka was the pick of the bowlers, and eventually the player of the match too, for her brilliant spell of 3 for 16 in 4 overs. Defending a severely under par total, India did not get off to a great start as they conceded 9 bounties in the power play, including at least 1 in each of the 6 overs. What was really bizarre was to see the way the bowlers were used. Deepti and Sriyanka bowled 3 overs between them, and Renuka did not get a third despite bowling well in her first couple of overs. After Sriyanka Patil took Sunil Neesa's off stump with a beautiful away drifter, it wasn't until after the power play that India got their second breakthrough, as Tasman Brits got out trying to manufacture a boundary against Sri Charni. The Pacers kept leaking runs on the other end once the field restrictions were lifted too, as they never really got their lines right. In fact, they bowled 12 wides in the 9 overs between them, arguably the difference between winning and losing. Anneli Dirksen and Laura Wolvaardt scored 52 runs in the next 6 overs to keep South Africa ahead of the 8th ball. India threatened to come back after getting Wolvaardt and Annika Bosch in quick succession, but 154 was always going to be a few too less for them to deal with. Sriyanka and Arundhati Reddy bowled a tight 18th and 19th over to give themselves a chance, with 6 runs being needed of the last over. But Chloe Trayon scored a maximum of Deepti Sharma's very first delivery to put paid to those plans. Speaking of which, Team India really needs to figure out how and if they want to use Deepti Sharma in the T20 setup. While she remains a cornerstone of the Indian ODI lineup, her T20I numbers tell a more complicated story. Post the 2024 T20 World Cup, her role as a finisher and strike bowler has faced severe scrutiny due to a noticeable dip in run scoring and wicket-taking efficiency. Since 2023, she scored at a 120 plus strike rate only once in the 17 innings, where she's faced 5 or more deliveries, and that knock too came over 3 years ago. Add to that, she's had only 7 sixes in her entire career in the format, and on an average takes over 10 deliveries to score a boundary. That is an extraordinary lack of boundary hitting for a player who bats in positions where the format demands it the most. If you're averaging in the single digits and striking it under 100 for over a year, there's surely got to be something done. Bowling has been a primary suit, and that's where she's contributed the most to India, but that's taken a hit too in 2026. So far in this calendar year, she's bowled 14 overs for just the solitary wicket, only above Darcy Brown amongst the teams who've qualified for the upcoming T20 World Cup, who's been wicketless in her 11 overs. Coming to the series, the visitors were expected to come back strongly 2 days later, but that was hardly the case. Same ground, same toss result, but India made a couple of changes. Anushka Sharma and Kranti Gaur were brought in to replace Kashri Gautam and Renuka Thakur. Shafali continued from where she left off in the first game, opening her account with the 6th of the 3rd ball of the innings. Smriti also carried on from the other end in the next over, taking 3 bounties of Khaka, and then came Chloe Trayon. Smriti managed to nail a slog sweep against her that went straight to Annika Bosch, stationed at deep mid-wicket. While Shafali continued her many ways, Jimmy also followed Smriti back to the pavilion as she swept an innocuous length ball from Trayon to Sekhakhune at deep square leg. Walking in at number 4 on debut, Anushka Sharma looked fairly composed and at ease handling the Saffers in Durban. While she did take her time, she got out at the worst possible moment for India, trying to accelerate and hitting a shortish delivery from Trayon to the fielder at cow corner. Soon enough, Shafali followed suit as Nadine de Klerk held on to a great diving catch to send the in-form opener back home. At 110 for 4 after 14 overs, once again, the platform was set for the Indian middle order to launch and take them to a pass score. And once again, they failed to do just that. The next 5 overs went for just 22 runs at the cost of 5 wickets, as India collapsed to 132 for 9 with an over to go. Cherney and Reddy's cameo on the final over helped India post 147, yet another below par total. In the absence of the experienced Renuka Thakur, Lees and Wolvaardt went berserk in the power play to race away to 66 for no loss at the end of it, and they hardly had to break a sweat. The Protean openers put on 106 for the first wicket. Wolvaardt once again led from the front with a fantastic 34 ball 54. Sri Lanka did account for both the half centurions, but the damage had already been done. The hosts needed 25 runs of the last 5 overs when Lees was dismissed, and were ably aided by the Indian fielders as Smriti dropped a fairly straightforward chance of Brits. So far, it's been more a case of Indian batters giving away their wicket rather than the South Africans earning it. Not that they'd be complaining. The visitors need someone in that 3 to 5 batting position to step up and convert starts into 40s and 50s. We can maybe give the Indian fielders some benefit of doubt with their missed chances due to newer conditions. They would be expected to have acclimatized by the time the third T20I comes around. Also, South Africa will be hoping to see the return of Kela Renuka, as that would add a lot of batting firepower and a much needed dependable bowling option too. Can the women in blue find their spark, or will the Proteas wrap this up with 2 games to spare? Would you drop a bowler for an extra bat, or is this just a case of the top order needing to bat through? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Women's Cricket Central for the full series breakdown. Until then, that's a goodbye from me.